What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm your host, the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. In the upper left corner, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cottrell.
What's going on? Hey, I'm feeling good, Got the little special start time today, Sure you guys are pretty happy, about the news that's happening right now. So feeling good.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're referring to. But before we talk about that, we got Uncle Showy, Scholastic Showy, and on the mound we refer to him as Doc.
Last night was a good night. I felt a little Doc like last night. Big win for the squad.
Last night.
Last night was a good squad. Good night for the Wire2Wire squad. Team effort. It was we played. I'm not mad about it. Gene, you sound a little hoarse, like you might have been, maybe a little cheering for somebody on TV. I'm not sure. You sound a little hoarse today.
Well, I'm by myself. I'm in my house. I'm not. There's no one here, so screaming loudly doesn't make any logical sense unless the Phillies might be in the playoffs. And attaboy, Harper, time to that bomb that he hit to make it 4-1. It was so reminiscent of the Rhys Hoskins home run last year off Spencer Strider in Game 3, in Inning 3, to really kind of like open the floodgates of winning the series. It really felt like that. It felt like that. And then he hits another one, and Trey Turner hits one, and Castellanos hits one. 8-2 right now, Phillies headed into the, I think it's, what is it, bottom 8? Like, are we like bottom 8?
Bottom 8.
I mean, 3 more outs, 6 less runs. Let's go attack Spencer Strider tomorrow. But we got a lot to talk about tonight. We got, by the way, welcome to everyone listening on Roku. Appreciate you, Northeast Sports Streaming Services. But we got a lot to get into. Today. So let's start with this. The MLB playoffs. I don't want to talk about the Phillies game yet. I don't want to talk about them yet. It's not over. Game's not over. It might be over by the time we get to them. It's not over. Let's talk about the Baltimore Orioles collapse versus the Texas Rangers. 3-0 sweep. No harm, no foul, no damage done. Not a real fight. Texas is headed to the American League Championship Series, the ALCS. What are your thoughts on the Texas Rangers just walking through Baltimore?
I think it was the one thing we were worried about. I think we were worried about Baltimore's pitching, and it ended up being their Achilles heel in the series. I think it was a combination of that. Baltimore didn't hit very well on top of everything. And again, their youth showed a little bit. I mean, you could see that, I don't want to say the spotlight was too big, but the kids you could see watching the younger guys play that they knew it was different. They knew it was a different atmosphere, different circumstances, situations. They didn't look quite as comfortable or as confident as they did, all throughout the regular season. Playoff baseball, it's the one thing you love about it. Every little thing matters. So it's, we talked about it. They were kind of our, underdog, kind of favorite team to follow and root for, regardless of, what the Phillies were doing. But it was sad to see them lose because I think they had such a great year and got themselves so far ahead of the curve of where everybody thought they were going to be at this point. They were the feel-good story. They got in. They just ran into a Texas team that finished the season hot. The offense is the strength of their team, and Texas got good enough pitching to get through them. So, I mean, I never saw a 3-0 sweep coming. But that being said, you got to tip your cap to the Rangers as well. They hit the crap out of the ball, and they won the 3 games. Now they get the rest and they get to wait.
Are we going to see and before we, I'm going to get Trell's thoughts on this, but Shower, are we going to see an AL West rematch for the division? Is that what we're going to see?
It's looking that way. I think they're up 3-1 already tonight. So looks like both those teams from the state of Texas are going to play each other with a chance to go to the World Series. They're going to have a huge advantage because nobody's really going to have to travel that much. I mean, it's going to be that is going to be a huge advantage for both those teams with the rest they're going to get compared to, whoever wins the NL, because you're either going to go Atlanta to Arizona or Atlanta to LA or Philly to LA, Philly to Arizona. So the wear and tear on the American League champ is going to be, way less than what it's going to be coming out of the National League. So, but it certainly looks like we're heading for a Texas ALCS.
All right, well let's add into. This is insanity. Just home runs are being hit. Castellanos, Marsh, just 2 more. They're going out of the ballpark right now. Cantrell, I can't control my emotions. Tell me about Baltimore laying an egg, and are they going to see the Houston Astros? Texas Rangers is going to be Texas Houston.
So, I mean, I think that the biggest thing was that we kind of talked about it last week when we knew that this would be the ultimate matchup. And I just feel like you mentioned Texas being hot at the right time. Of course, that played a big part. And, what we also talked about with Baltimore kind of came to fruition as well. They didn't have that ace to just go out there, lock down a game, and have them have the ability to go win a 2-1, 3-2 kind of ball game. And so Texas bats got hot, and there was a point in time in this series where, you kind of knew the writing was on the wall for the Orioles. Texas was just way too hot. And then to answer your other question, I do think.
Can you hear him?
No.
Yeah, we lost you there. I don't know what happened. Your mic just went out. To answer your other question, and we're waiting in suspense right now, brother. I have no microphone from you. We'll see. We'll go back to Gatrell when he gets a little audio. His audio looks like he's muted on this end. I unmuted you. Did it work? Can you talk?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
I think your microphone disconnected. It sounds like I hear you from like the audio of the equipment.
MacBook.
MacBook audio.
All right. Well, I'll get to my point here shortly.
All right. So I think the Houston Astros are going to win the series. They're up 3-1. They'll probably win tonight. We're going to see Houston, Texas. But talking about teams that are getting ran through, how about the Los Angeles Dodgers doing it again? Again, last year was the Padres. No one gave them a chance. This year it's Arizona. It always seems to be someone from their division. Hey, listen, I spell choke L-A-D. I don't know how you spell it. But Shally, what are your thoughts on the Los Angeles Dodgers just absolutely getting blitzkrieged in the first inning of both games?
I think it's the way it's happening, which is surprising. I think Arizona is a very spunky, kind of tough, rah-rah type team. And if they can stay in a game, they're hard to beat. Like they're not going to go away. The thing with the Dodgers is, I think, I think if you would have saw that in game 2 or something, you wouldn't have been that shocked. Clayton Kershaw couldn't get out of the first inning. Like that's crazy. They came out, I don't want to say it was a Houston type thing, but they looked like they knew what he was going to throw. I mean, they were just dialed in on Kershaw. But on top of that,
I don't want to say it's a Houston type thing. That's amazing.
I think you mentioned last year, which I think is important to bring up. As good as the Dodgers were last year, the Padres were also very good. And you look at the Padres lineup and that team and that roster, you see the talents there. Not saying Arizona's not a talented team. They are not in the same atmosphere on paper of where the Dodgers are. Dodgers, we knew pitching was going to be an issue. After Clayton Kershaw, it was going to be a patchwork type thing. They haven't had Walker Buehler all year. They lost Urias now because he hits women. You got, you
have no chill tonight, bro. Because he hits women.
Show me the part that's not true.
No,
and I'll stop.
No one said it wasn't. You're just hilarious tonight. You're in rare form.
It is. I think you're going to see a little bit of they could come back. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the Dodgers could catch fire, and with that lineup, they could easily take 3 in a row off Arizona. But Arizona's a sneaky team. They have 3 pretty good pitchers at the top of that rotation. Corbin Carroll is, if you don't know who he is, I don't know what rock you've been living under all year long. But they're a spunky little team, man. And I don't think anybody saw it happening to the degree that it happened to 11-2, 4-2, and the Dodgers not even hitting. Like if you would have told me Dodgers lost game 2 like 11-9 or something, I'd be like, okay, like I could see that. But they're not hitting either on top of their pitching, which is crazy. So they're in a lot of trouble. And they got to win both at Arizona, come back and win game 5 in LA. I mean, it's they are at the precipice of a disaster right now.
Cottrell, do you think that the Los Angeles Dodgers have a shred of a chance to win that series?
I think their team is too good to say they don't have a chance. So I do think they have a chance. I think, to Bill's point, I at this point, you got to think that if they do have that chance, it's going to be winning games 8-6 because Arizona is showing you that they're going to hit the ball. So I think, Mookie Betts and company, they have to come alive in this series. You're going to have to see, some great performances to keep it alive. You talk about the Dodgers being choke artists, and it's crazy true. And on the other side of it for Arizona, they're essentially playing with house money. No one was expecting to make the playoffs. No one was expecting them to beat the Diamondbacks in this series. So we all had it, either being a sweep or a 4-game series with LA winning pretty comfortably. And so at this point, I just think that they have all the confidence in the world. Do I think they're going to win the series? Yes. But I don't want to just write off the Dodgers just because I think that lineup is just so talented and they have that ability to win a couple games just with their offense getting hot. And then to the other series, just real quick to finish what I was saying there. I think the Astros are going to be the team that you see on the other side. And I don't know if there's anybody else on the planet as a number 3 that I would want. I don't know, between Christian Javier and Ranger Suarez, those two are aces come playoff time. And for those to be your number 3 guys, and you can throw them out there and so heavily rely on them to go win you a baseball game, it's absolutely incredible. So that's just kind of what I wanted to add in with Houston and Texas. I'm sure we're going to preview that series as well later on.
Yeah, I mean, we can preview Houston, Texas. We can't preview anything in the NL because that's not wrapped up yet. But what we will talk about is the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. Look, maybe it's me being a Philadelphia Phillies fan. Maybe it's me being an absolute homer. Maybe it's that. After losing last year to Philadelphia and then being beat for 17 out of 18 innings in Atlanta, you would think, and it's just the thought process that goes through you would think that you would win and be like, thank God we got out of Atlanta with a 1-1 split. But that wasn't what Orlando Arcia was thinking. He wanted to laugh and rub the salt in the wounds of one of the best players in all of baseball. Now, the question that I have, because once again, I see with red goggles. I can't help that, right? Like, I'm a Phillies fan. I'm watching the game with red goggles on. Cottrell, being a non-Philadelphia sports fan, do you feel like, and now you see the 2 home runs that were hit and the stare down that happened twice where he stared at him, and then he stared at him after he made the ground ball as he was going from first to second after do you think that poking the bear, you think there's more being made of that, or you think Harper is just being Harper?
I really think Harper is just being Harper. I think these guys, especially in this playoff atmosphere, you got to find something to feed off of. And that's really just what Bryce Harper is doing. He knows he's the unquestioned leader of that team, and they're going to go as he goes. So if he's bringing that energy, they're going to feed off that. And you see the performance they put out. Bryce Harper goes out there and gives them that three-run home run, and the Phillies haven't looked back since. And so I think when you have Bryce Harper as confident as he is, and it may come off cocky to some who are on the outside looking in, and that's perfectly fine because it doesn't matter what they think. When you have him dialed in like that and having those guys build that confidence against a team who's pretty much looked untouchable all season. They've been the runaway number 1 team in the entire league. And so with them being that conference rival, things like that, you beat them last year. And, in a sense, you kind of got screwed in the second game in Atlanta because, you gave up the lead late. And that could have been an opportunity for that team to kind of hang their head low. And so I'm perfectly fine with what Bryce is doing. Keep that energy up. Like Nick Reyes just said, it's the playoffs. And, I think you have to find guys that feed off that kind of injury that Bryce brings. So I'm perfectly all for it. I just think it's Harper being Harper, though.
Okay, so shall we? And Cottrell gave me the very honest, real, and like outside of Philadelphia response, and that's okay. And that's the real response. That's probably the response for every city and state outside of Philadelphia. Michelle, give me the Philadelphia response.
I'm going to give you the real response. I'm not even going to make it a Philly thing. What is the one thing in common that all the greats have, or all the greats do? They find motivation in the littlest of things. People might call it petty, even if you want to say that, but it's the littlest things that get them motivated and let them go to that 6th and 7th gear that the average guy they're playing against does not have. He didn't have to say any of that after the game. And to your point, even if take tonight's game out of it, take the first 2 games, which one of those teams looks confident to you? Which one of those 2 teams looks like they're laid back and ready to make a run and look like they're ready to win games no matter where they're playing? I got news for you. It's not Atlanta. Atlanta looks tight. They're getting their asses kicked again tonight. And it is poking the bear thing. Now, is it a thing where it's like you woke the sleeping giant type thing? No, because that's just who Bryce is. Like I said it earlier today. He's built different. He's a superstar in a different stratosphere. He just is. He's in that same realm of Acuna, Trout, Ohtani. He's one of them. That being said, I'm not blasting that guy publicly. I don't want that guy to come out on his home field in front of a crowd that my team historically does not play well in front of and rile him up even more. And now he hits 2 tonight. That place is going bonkers. We have everybody and their mother in the lineup hitting home runs tonight. And I guess what? And you got the softest guy. He's your ace, but the softest guy who is on record now saying he doesn't like pitching in loud places. He doesn't think fans should be in the lower bowl of stadiums. He doesn't like the noise. He still has flashbacks from Reese Daddy owning him last year. That guy's got to take the mound tomorrow night with your season on the line now. Good luck. It's one of those things, man. If you have a great player down and you have him beat, or you have a chance to beat him, you don't say anything inflammatory and try to wake him up or get him extra motivated or get that chip on his shoulder any bigger. That's stupid. And he's paying for it. And I think the funniest thing of it all is, too, he don't have the balls to look at him. That's the worst thing. You want to say it, that's fine, but then own it. He's rounding second base both times, and he's staring at the dirt because he knows. He knows he brought all that on. I'm not saying it changed the outcome of what happened tonight. I mean, at the end of the day, Bryce still has to hit the pitch. I think Paul said somewhere like hanging breaking ball. Like RC didn't cause that to happen, but tonight was a huge momentum swing, man. That like you think it was crazy tonight. That place is going to be bonkers tomorrow night. Bonkers.
I completely agree with you.
They are going to be all over Strider tomorrow night. All over him. They got the tomahawk chop going tonight, like just to like egg them on even more. It's crazy, man. I would not want to be in tomorrow night.
I don't want to get too far into it because I'm kind of going to make fun of him in a little bit later, and we do kind of move forward. But did you see the moment where he dropped the F-bomb to the umpire after the strikeout that Alvarado had, which was a strike, and then they looked at the iPad and they were like, "Ooh, I couldn't believe that was a strike." And he's like screaming F to the umpire. I felt like that was hilarious. I can't wait till Strider takes the mound tomorrow night. I cannot wait because I hope he's remembering what happened to him in Philadelphia a year ago yesterday.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you're going to see the Reese Hoskin home run from last year all over social media tomorrow. I promise you, it will be everywhere tomorrow.
Let's hope we get another one. All right, we'll talk more about the next series when the next series happens. Let's talk about the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers, because that'll no doubtably start before we play again, before we have a show again, and the NLCS will too. But you don't count your roosters, you don't count your chickens. The series is far from over. Philadelphia versus Atlanta. Let's just at least give a full preview for Houston versus Texas. I'll start. I think that this is the year. I think this is the year the Texas Rangers get over the hump. I think the Houston Astros are ripe for the picking. I think the top of the rotation is nowhere near what it needs to be. And that Texas Rangers team is playing with a different attitude, a different swagger about them. I actually really believe the Texas Rangers lineup, Corey Seager has been out of this world. I think the Texas Rangers and that entire lineup, I think they'll end up beating the Astros. I think it goes 6. I think they beat them in Texas. That's where I'll start. That's my preview. But your thoughts, gentlemen?
So, I mean, I guess I can go next here. I am on the opposite side of you. I do think it goes 6 as well, but I have the Astros winning this one. I think for me, you talk about the pitching for the Astros and really how down they have the top of that rotation has been. I just don't see that always continuing. Like eventually, I just think that there's going to be a game where Framber looks like Framber. There's going to be a game where Justin Verlander looks like, the same Justin Verlander that we saw last year in the playoffs. And Christian Javier has ice water in his veins. So I just think as far as the pitching goes, I think that the Astros will have a slight advantage in this specific series. The Rangers have been killing the ball, but I do think that slows down a bit. And, it just seems like, we're on a crash course to have a repeat of last year with the Astros going back to the World Series. So I like the Astros in 6. The other thing with the Astros is they've been finding ways to win games, and it's not the same people producing as it was even last year. Jeremy Pena hasn't even gotten close to hitting his hot streak that he had last year. And so I just think that the Astros, I think their pitching is going to come alive in this series. They're going to slow down that Rangers offense, and I got them winning in 6.
I'll tell you who has hit his stride is that Yordan Alvarez. He wouldn't be a pitch for me all series. I wouldn't throw him a ball. Just go to first. Like, that guy is ridiculous. The home runs he's hitting are just absurd. I think he's got, was he at 5 so far in the playoffs?
And he had 3 doubles in what, game 3?
He is silly. He's really good.
Problem is, though, those guys in front of him, they get on base. I mean, you really have no choice but to throw to him.
It's a plug in. He's a plug on the base. He's slow. Let's put him on. Hopefully they pinch run for him. He's batting 600. That's what you just said. 600. It's insanity. Shally, who do you got in the series?
I like Houston. They won 9 out of the 13 against Texas this year in the regular season. It's not the best matchup. I tend to agree with Cottrell on this one. I've been critical of Framber the last couple of weeks on the show. I think somewhere along the lines you're going to get one kind of Framber start from him. Verlander, you know what you're going to get. I'm not saying you have to get 8 or 9 out of him every game, but if you get 6 innings, 1 run type deal, and stuff like that, I just don't think this is where Texas really misses Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer here. I do like their lineup, Simeon, Corey Seager, your boy. I mean, they're killing the ball, but it is I just think they're a little overmatched here. Houston's starting to hit the ball again. And like Michelle said, they're finding ways to win, and they're kind of not doing it in typical Houston fashion where they're winning 3-1 with dominant pitching and they get the home run at the right time. They're hitting the ball more. They're winning with defense, and then, Christian Javier has been great the last month as the 3 starter sitting behind Framber. So they're going to be tough. I applaud Jordan Montgomery for coming, since he came over the trade deadline. He's been great for Texas. Great. Nathan Eovaldi's just coming back. I don't know how much you're going to get out of him. I just don't think Texas has enough pitching over the course of a 7-game series to really hang into this. I think it was a 5-game series. I think they have a better shot. But 7 games, starting pitching and your bullpen even become a bigger factor. And I think the advantage between the 2 staffs is just too great for me to ignore it. I think the lineups are comparable. Especially the way Seager's hitting. But I'm going to go Houston. I'm going to go Houston in 6 as well.
Mad Max is back. That's what they're saying. They're saying he'll be there.
He's going to get shelled.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see. I know he'll go after Jordan. I think and Evaldi's pitched great, by the way.
He has
yesterday.
He did
7 innings, like 1 run ball. I think ridiculous.
I just don't know what you're gonna get out of Max. I mean, I don't know how much he's throwing. I don't know how ramped up he is, how stretched out he is. I just don't know what you're getting. But I mean, listen, if you can go out and give you 4 innings, I mean, it's still something. It's still something that can, help catapult and help them steal a game here and there. But I think it's a little bit of an uphill battle. I think it's gonna be a good series. I think it's gonna be great. I mean, state of Texas is gonna love it.
Alec Boehm just made a backhanded play, throw across the mound for the final out of the game. Philadelphia Phillies win by a final of 10-2.
Cottrell, he top 10 yet or no?
So can I? All right, then I get to get something in. Because I took a lot of crap on this show, and I owned it. I owned it. I did own it. Took a lot of crap on this show with the Xander Corey Seager comparison, and right now I feel like I need a little bit of love back. That's all. I don't need anybody to sit here and just go. I obviously it was projections for last year, and last year Xander was a lot better than Corey Seager. Corey Seager's a better player.
This is a 3-year argument. I will give you your love for this year. You're 100% right. You were 100% wrong last year, and the year before that was close. So I would say best case scenario, we're 1-1 here.
Okay.
So I will say you're back up to the surface, and you're on dry land again, and we'll see.
I was on my boat, bro. I was on my boat.
Bro, you were on your boat taking water, and you were down a paddle. Like
let's keep it real here too. Corey Seager, even if Xander would have had a good year this year, Corey Seager would have had the better year this year. So I give you all the credit in the world there. Last year, Corey Seager, first year in Texas. Yeah. You got Xander's first year in San Diego. We see what happens in these first years. So
I guess we'll see what happens next year. That's like the
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like chapter 3. Rocky 3.
Exactly.
Right? It's the third fight between Rocky and Apollo that happened behind the scenes that no one's seen.
Now that you brought that up, I finally watched Creed 3 all the way through.
Yep.
Not a fan.
What?
No. It's nowhere near as good. It's nowhere near as good as the first 2.
But the Creed 1, when they had that comment where he's like, I heard you and my father fought a third time and no one knew about it. He's like, no one knew about that fight. How do you know this, kid? But whatever. I'm hype. Yes, Seager would be MVP if it wasn't for Otani. Yeah, and the Queen would be the king if she had balls. I don't know. Like we can't say would have, could have, should have. I've been a Corey Seager fan, so let's not overblow it.
Yeah, I mean he missed like a month or so too because he wasn't even eligible for the batting title until like midway through September when he got enough at bats. He's had a great year. So I mean, they're getting their money's worth from him so far. I'll say that.
All right. Well,
about that.
What he did. I would put that right there. He's carrying by 430.
He didn't carry that team though. He contributed like everybody else. Nobody's going to look back and be like, oh, Corey Seager had like the World Series, like top 10 World Series ever. Like, relax. A lot of players in that team.
Corey Seager, the MVP. He's the greatest player of all time. I'm kidding. Let's move on. We got a lot of show to get into, and we got a little bit of time to get into it. We got some NFL action. Let's start there. NFL football. Before we get into our previews of our games this week, let's talk about our recaps of things that happened last week. Well, here's one thing I'll tell you I was 100% wrong on, and I was smiling, glowing from ear to ear. Let's talk about all those Texas Rangers fans that are super happy about their Texas Rangers. A lot of them are Dallas Cowboy fans. And a lot of those Dallas Cowboy fans aren't very happy after Sunday Night Football. That was
Dak stinks. Just come to grips with it. He stinks.
Yeah.
Dak is holding that football team back. I don't know if like somebody asked me the other day and I couldn't come up with something like it's to have a top 3 offensive line for like 5 years running now, 2 great backs, loaded wide receiver, great tight end, a dominant defense, and you can't win shit.
We don't want you to head out. We just want to have an honest conversation.
Oh my goodness! He said coaching hold the team back.
See, here we go. It's
everybody but Dak.
Literally, yes, it is everybody some year but Dak Prescott. Every year. It's fine. I love it. You guys can stay in denial all you want. The dude was a 4th round grade for a reason because he was a project. You guys don't want to hear it. The guy got a huge contract because he broke his ankle and cried on TV, and everybody felt bad for him. He's not worth the money. He's not. It's a horrible contract. I don't care how you slice it, whatever you want to say. The dude threw 3 interceptions the other night in like the span of 5 passes. Every year, every single year, it's the Amari Cooper doesn't get enough separation. We'll get rid of him. We'll make CeeDee Lamb the number 1. Zeke couldn't get it done. We're going to Troy Pollard. It's this. It's that. Oh, we got more defensive guys. We brought in Stephen Gilmore. They're locked down now. No, it's somebody else now. It's never Dak. Dak's always the one with the ball in his hand at the end of the year when something goes wrong. But it's never Dak. Like watch the San Fran game when they ran out of time. He was in the middle of the field looking like he never played football before. Like he didn't know what to do. Oh, do I spike it? Mike, what do I do? Like he sucks. I'm done. I can't do it. I love it. You guys can be delusional all you want and keep them. Just keep them. It's great for us. We get to coast to these division championships every year and start resting people. You guys keep Dak. Keep going 11-6 every year, 12-5, get to the playoffs, get your shit kicked in, and then blame it on somebody else. That's what you guys do. You guys love it. Stay on the merry-go-round. Keep doing it. Dallas, stay classy, buddy. See you.
Well, that was a nice rant. I love it. Listen, Shally's in rare form tonight, and it's fun to listen to. Your thoughts. So we got to bring up something else with that. Brock Purdy. Can I ask you guys a question? And I'm going to put you guys on the spot here. Obviously, San Francisco dominated that game. Brock Purdy's playing great. Let's just go NFC quarterbacks. Let's not get nuts in the whole quarterback list. NFC quarterbacks, how far down the line do you have to go? And you know what? Let's play a game of Brock Purdy or. Can we do that? Going forward, Brock Purdy or.
How many teams are in the NFC?
I got it. I'm going to get – don't worry about it.
16, right? All right, Dak's 16th. Let's go from there.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a quarterback, and you say if you'd rather take Brock Purdy or them.
Okay. Now, this is on the same team or in current situations?
It's let's just say for the San Francisco 49ers. Same situation. Okay. They just walk in, you remove Purdy, and you get this guy.
Got it.
Okay, so Brock Purdy or Kirk Cousins?
Brock.
It's close, but Brock.
Okay. I would take Brock there also, which I didn't before the season started. Brock Purdy or Matthew Stafford?
Brock.
For this year?
You said going forward.
Okay, for 1 year. We're not 8 years. 1 year.
I'm going Brock.
I'm going Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's just okay. That's fine. Brock Purdy or Jared Goff?
Brock.
Jesus.
At this point,
this Jared Goff, I'm going Jared Goff.
My thing is, I've seen Jared Goff with the guy who I think is the best offensive mind in football with McVay. If I throw him with Shanahan, am I going to see the Jared Goff when he was in LA again?
I don't think McVay and Goff were never on the same page.
They weren't. They were. McVay is cut from the cloth of the Shanahan tree. So I'm going Brock here.
I'm
going Goff. Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott?
Yeah, Brock.
Yeah, I'm taking
going Brock Purdy. Well. I only got 3 more. That's it. I got 3 more to go over, right? Brock Purdy or Justin Fields?
Brock.
I think Fields can be a stud in that Shanahan offense. I'll take my heat. I'm going Justin Fields.
I'm staying with Justin Fields. I'm staying on the boat. I got Justin Fields.
I just look at Charles like, I'm going to take my heat. Like anybody watching this show right now didn't expect Charles to take Justin Fields. I'll take my Buckeye. I'll take the heat for this one.
No, it's like, not. If you look, I'm just saying, I think talent-wise, Fields is
Brock Purdy or Geno Smith.
Brock Purdy.
I'm going Brock. And the last one on the list, Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts.
You knew how I was going.
I did.
All right. So
easy.
I think
Daniel Jones?
No. Daniel Jones.
I'll still take Daniel Jones over Dak Prescott.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
No,
Bet me.
Won't.
Bet me.
No, thank you. You can be on your own little boat, your paddle boat on that one.
There's 16 quarterbacks in the NFC. Daniel Jones is 15.
I know Dak's 16th. That's my
point. Desmond Ritter.
How much worse do you think Dallas looks if you put Daniel Jones on that team?
Way worse.
Yes, a lot worse.
Disagree. Horribly disagree. I'm not saying he's better. I don't think he looks any worse.
I think Daniel Jones is tragically bad.
He is.
I think there are people that are like Daniel Jones. Like I think Daniel Jones, like what's the right way to call it when you apologist, are worse than I was when I was a Carson Wentz apologist.
How bad? See, this is I look at it this way. I think Daniel, dude, he literally had a game where he got sacked 11 times. Like,
I was going to say that too.
If you put him on Dallas with weapons and an actual line, again, I'm not saying he's a top 5 quarterback. I just don't think he looks worse than Dak. Like, what does Dak look like on the Giants? What does Dak look like if you put him on?
You can't say Dak's 16, though, bro. He's better than Jordan Love. He's better than Desmond Ritter. He's better than Daniel Jones. Like, I could see you saying, like, listen, I would rather start my franchise.
All right, let's do it for real. Let's do it for real. Fine. We'll do it for real.
Ritter's 16, right?
Yeah.
He's the worst of the bunch.
Yeah.
Dobbs is probably 15.
Dobbs is 15. That's fair.
Dobbs doesn't count. He's not really a starter.
Yeah, you're right, because Kyler's the starter there. That's okay, we'll go Kyler. We'll just take Dobbs out. So Jones is 16. Or sorry. I think that Daniel Jones is 15. I think right now Bryce Young is 14. Stop me when I get stupid, right? I think Baker Mayfield is 13, although he's playing very well this year. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. I think Sam Howell is 12. Stop me when I get stupid, right? I'm just trying to go through these. Stop me when I get dumb.
See, I think you're getting into people now where you can start making arguments.
For Dak?
Yeah.
Fine. I understand that, but I'm just trying to give you a reasonable expectation. Jordan Love would go right there at 11. He's looked, like he could be good, but he's looked very pedestrian. And then 10 that's where it gets fun, right? 10 is, because right now, let's just go from 1 to 10 because we've already given you 11 through 16. 1 is Hurts. 2 right now in the NFC, I think, is Jared Goff. And just my personal opinion. Maybe I'm nuts. 3 in the NFC, I think, is Brock Purdy, but I'll take Justin Fields. And then,
if you get Justin the way he's played the last 2 weeks, like where it looks like things have finally started to click. But yeah, keep going.
But let's just say Justin Fields and Brock Purdy are 3 and 4.
That's fine. They're both better than Dak.
Okay. So then you're sitting in that 5 through 10 range. And here are the quarterbacks left in that 5 through 10 range. You're looking at Derek Carr, Matt Stafford, Geno Smith, Dak Prescott. What?
I'm taking all 3 of them over Dak Prescott.
I agree with you. I have Dak like 9.
He's probably 11 or 12 for me, really, like realistically.
Control?
He's probably like 9, 10, somewhere there. I think the other thing too is that with Dak,
how much of an admission is it for me to have Brock Purdy as my 3rd or 4th best NFC quarterback?
I mean, I don't think it's crazy. I think that an
admission for me as much as
for you. Oh, yeah, that is crazy. But I think the big thing for me though right now is that with Dak, exactly what Dak you're gonna get against teams that aren't that good. And you know exactly what Dak you're going to get against good teams. I don't know why we keep just doing this song and dance. You know exactly, like you said, Bill, they're going to go 11 and 6. They're going to go 12 and 5. Dak's going to look great in certain games. He's probably going to dice up this Chargers team this week, and everybody's going to be back on the Dak hype train. And then that first game against Philadelphia, he's going to get his ass kicked, and then we're going to be like, "See, we told you, Dak stinks." And then the Cowboys are going to go win 4 or 5 games straight, make it into the playoffs, and we're going to hear about the Cowboys being Super Bowl contenders again. And then it's going to be Dak's fault all over again. Like, we just keep doing the same dance all over again, and it's actually kind of maddening at this point.
This is such an unpopular opinion, but I think the moment the Dallas Cowboys messed up is when they went with Dak Prescott over Tony Romo. I know Tony Romo was made of glass, but Tony Romo was the better quarterback.
Agreed.
All right. So we got to kind of move forward. Let's get into some previews for some NFL games this week. We got a few to get into. Let me get my list up.
A lot of injuries this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. I think most notably Matt Milano of the Buffalo Bills.
His is not good.
If I'm being completely honest with you, he was playing like the best defensive player in the NFC. AFC, sorry.
Yeah,
Matt Milano was balling.
Was Milano. Jettis is hurt. Kelsey's banged up. Someone else got put on IR today too.
Anthony Richardson.
There was somebody else though.
The Colts got better when Anthony Richardson got put on IR. That might sound terrible, but Minshew's way better.
I mean, it's true. I think Anthony Richardson was actually playing decent football, especially for what I thought he was going to be at this point.
Devin Achane, yeah.
He's
the most explosive guy in football right now.
He gets in the lose. He gets to that first level untouched. He's gone.
Do you guys remember my running backs list coming into this draft?
Do you have him on there?
I had him number 1. Coming out of this draft, I had him. I had a Bijan. I remember the list. It's before they get drafted. We're doing as prospects, but I had a Chain 1. I had Charbonnet 2, Bijan 3, Jahmyr Gibbs 4.
I thought you had Bijan 5.
No, I had Bijan 3. I have the list though. And I had Jahmyr Gibbs. I had 5 though, and I wish I would have put Tajay Spears 5. But I had the kid that went to New Orleans that was from TCU, Kendry Miller. I had him 5, and I kind of wish I would have switched out with Tajay Spears. But like other than that, I still have that order. I'm not saying that like Charbonnet is going to get the work that Bijan's going to get or that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to eventually get. Maybe, I don't know. But Charbonnet looks great in Seattle.
I mean, I think Bijan's looked great so far in Atlanta. Like if he had like an actual quarterback that could actually open up some stuff, like I think he'd be in a fantastic spot.
We'll start with Cowboys Chargers this week. Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites playing at Los Angeles. They're playing the Chargers, Justin Herbert. The Chargers defense looks atrocious. I don't know what the hell happened there. Brandon Staley is a defensive coach. They have defensive studs all over the team. They just traded J.C. Jackson to the back to the Patriots.
He apparently was a cancer.
Apparently, that's a thought. Or maybe Brandon Staley and that defense was terrible, and he was just like, this is not right. I don't know. I'm not going to blame him for that defense stinking.
I'm not blaming him for the defense stinking. I'm just talking about how he acted as a teammate, both out on the field and behind the scenes, apparently. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, situations where they told him to go back into the game because another player was hurt and him just being like, nope, I'm good, not going back in the game. Like, that is kind of crazy, especially for a guy who's considered, top 10 corner in the league when right. So, I mean, you could view that as a cancer. You could view it as Brandon Staley not having control of his team. You could also view it as a player that just doesn't respect what they do over there. Not saying it's right, not saying it's something that I would do, but to an extent, depending on what happened over there, I kind of understand it.
Big home run for the Twins. They're back in it. But let's talk about Cowboys versus Chargers. Let's give a preview for it. Cottrell, how do you see this game going? Who do you like in the game?
So I said it, a couple minutes ago when we were talking about Dak. I do think that this is going to be a game where Dak slices through that Chargers defense that's been struggling pretty much every game. I know Khalil Mack just had 6 sacks in a game, which is incredible, but I truly feel like Dak and company, they're going to have the offense rolling. They want to make a statement because they got blew out the water last week against the 49ers. I think the Cowboys win this game, and you're going to hear all that chatter again about how Dak has rebounded from that game. He probably throws 3 touchdowns in this game, looks great, doesn't throw an interception. But then you got to realize that on the other side of things, it's just Brandon Staley doing what Brandon Staley does and not putting a competent defense out there on the field. So I got the Cowboys winning and Dak looking good.
Which coach blows it? And the reason I asked that question is because here's how I see the game playing out, Control. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Justin Herbert's still going to move the ball versus that Dallas defense. As good as they are, I think he's going to still dice them up. And I think that anybody right now can move the ball versus the Chargers defense. So I think it's a high-scoring game, and I think that one of 2 things happens. Dak throws a big pick down the stretch, or Brandon Staley makes another bonehead move, and they blow it. So what you think that Brandon Staley makes the bonehead move?
Yeah, I mean, I think he calls a bad game defensively, and the Cowboys light him up. I got the Cowboys winning by like a touchdown in this one. I do think it will be a higher scoring game, but I just think that the Cowboys offense is going to look as explosive as they have, in some of the earlier weeks when we were talking about them winning the Super Bowl. Not we, but they, when they were talking about the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl.
Not we.
I was just say, when
don't
the
put
hell
that
did
on. Don't put that on.
We
us.
talk about that. Yeah. Keep our show out of that shit.
How who you liking this one? I know you're a big Chargers fan, Justin Herbert guy.
I mean, I mean, you guys have both already said it. I have no faith in Brandon Staley to call a good game defensively. That defense has struggled mightily. I think the Chargers, I think that offense will look a little bit better this year or better this week. Mind you, I think all signs point to Austin Eckler's going to come back. So they'll be able to run the ball a little bit more, not kind of be so boom or bust as they have been the last couple of weeks, even though it's worked for them. But, yeah, I mean, if I had to trust the defense to get a stop, I'm obviously going to go with Dallas. But, I mean, the Dak issue lurks. He throws, one bad out pattern or something, and it's going the other way, and it can get ugly quick. But I will go with Dallas. I think it's a higher scoring game. I agree with both of you gentlemen. I think it's a little bit higher scoring. I think it's probably a fun game to watch. Should be a lot of offense, but I have no faith. I'm on record numerous times. I have no faith with Brandon Staley, that defense, or anything he really touches in general.
I'll go Chargers. I think the Chargers make more plays. I think Dak throws a big pick at the end of the game, and I think Santi Samuel Jr. is the one running down the sideline. So give me the.
I agree, CJ. Be my favorite thing in the world.
He said, I hope Dak plays for Dallas for the next 10 years. I don't disagree with him. I want Dak to be their franchise quarterback, because I don't think he's going to get better.
Why would he? He's been there at this point for as long as he has. Why would he get better now?
He's about to be on his 3rd contract. There's the rookie contract and his contract he signed, and now he's up for an extension.
I'll tell you what, though. I 100% don't like if the Cowboys don't win a playoff game this year. I don't think Dak Prescott's their quarterback next year. I think them going out and getting Trey Lance was very intentional, and they know that the talent that Trey Lance has, and I think they're going to try and develop him because at this point, his ceiling has to be higher than what his ceiling is at this point. So that's just kind of my bold take that I'm throwing out there.
I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll see. I don't think they're going to win a playoff game this year. So I think Trey Lance or Dak Prescott, whoever you put out there, I think that Dallas team will find a way to lose. Let's talk about Eagles, Jets. Robert Saleh, one of my favorite coaches in football, said a comment and
Stay humble, baby.
Who?
You didn't see that when he shook Sean Payton's hand at the end of the game last week?
Oh no, I love that.
Yeah, he said great game. He said stay humble. Shook his hand, rolled out.
I love that. What I don't like is the comment he said about the tush push. He said, we'll be ready for it, and we'll make sure their quarterback gets 11 kisses from our defense. Referring to they're going to hit him every time he does the tush push. Everybody's going to find a way to try to hit the quarterback and try to hurt him. That's what they're referring to, Cottrell. That's what he's referring to. Is that not what he's referring to?
A quarterback running up the middle, we're going to make sure that, he gets hit on the play, and so that it kind of deters them from doing it. I don't know what's wrong with that. I get it. That's your quarterback. You want to keep him upright, but it's football. It's not pillows and fluff in there. You want to get down and dirty and do the tush push. It's going to get physical sometimes. I'm okay with that. Nothing wrong with that. It's football.
Do you have any issue with it?
I think he meant I don't think he meant any type of way that they're going to try to hurt him. I think he said that he wants to make it as physical for them as possible, and if they want to keep doing it, that they're gonna try to hit him if they can. I don't think he meant anything. It was going to be anything bush league or illegal, or they were going to try to hurt him. Doing anything underhanded like that. I think he's just saying if they want to line up and keep doing it, he does have a great defensive line and they're a physical defense. I think he just said, we're going to make them earn it. We're not just going to sit there and cave in and let him get his 1 to 2 yards. If we can put a helmet on him, we're going to put a helmet on him.
I want to talk.
He just doesn't strike me as that type of coach whatsoever.
No, and I understand. I love Robert Saleh. I do want to talk about this. Hey. Wayne Curtis said play will be out of the NFL next year. Probably. We haven't had this debate yet. You said you agree?
I'm not saying that it should be. I'm saying I think it's going to be.
Okay. We haven't had this debate yet. Should the tush push be banned from the NFL or the brotherly shove?
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't be banned. People want to talk about it being this competitive disadvantage, but the thing is that Philly is the team that runs it to perfection. You see other teams try to copy it, and they don't run it as well as Philly does. So it's not that the play is unfair. Just because Philly is successful at it doesn't make the play unfair. It's just that other teams don't do it as well. I agree with Shiley, though. I do think it's going to be out of the league come next year. They're going to have some sort of regulation about how you can QB sneak and things like that. But I just think it's dumb because the Eagles have had so much success with it that they're going to take it out the NFL.
I just don't think we should allow Pat Mahomes to run a 2-minute drill. I mean, he's too good at it.
That's not the same.
He's too good at it. Look, guys, I don't think we should let Rodgers throw Hail Marys. He should be banned from the NFL. Why? Because the Eagles are good at the play? Watch the Giants run the tush push, and you tell me if that play should be banned. Watch the Raiders try it with Jimmy Garoppolo, and you tell me if that play should be banned. Yeah, I stole it from New Heights. Thanks. Yeah, you did hear that somewhere. I'm just saying it's bullcrap that they're going to try to ban a play because we're good at it. It's crap.
I don't disagree.
It's a loser's mentality. And for the people calling it a rugby play, I hope to God that you go. You can call me out. I don't mind. I hope to God that you go tell that to Jordan Mailata. Jordan Mailata hates that. Play shouldn't be banned. You're right, Nick Reyes. And a lot of winners in life, people that aren't losers in life, think that play shouldn't be banned. Winners want to stop it. Losers want to get rid of it. It's just like life. When someone's better than you, then you just go, let's ban that person. Let's not let that person do this, and that. It's a football play. Stop it.
Not going to lie. My biggest thing with it, too, is that I don't see enough defensive linemen trying to cheat. I would be trying to move the foot. As soon as they snap it, my hands would be in the piles. At that point, it's 1 yard and things like that. Especially if you're on the goal line, get creative when trying to stop it. You see teams trying to go over the top and things like that. No, come up with a game plan. Say your guys are better than theirs and just go after it. So I that's the one thing that I do hate about it. And you even saw it I think it was last week. Was it the Commanders that they didn't necessarily stop it, but I think they've had the best push against it that I've seen so far.
They did.
Look,
I think the Jets are going to be really good with it with Quinn Williams.
Agreed.
Teams that have, I'll tell you right now, if some other team had Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, I think they'd be really good at stopping the tush push. And it's the tush push. I'm not calling it the brotherly shove. That makes it Philadelphia. I don't want it to be that way. I want it to just be the tush push.
I actually like the brotherly shove better.
Yeah, because it's a Philly thing.
But I mean,
Yeah, but
you know,
you got the Philly thing is what's drawing. Yeah, the Philly part of it is what's drawing. All the attention is being drawn to it because we do it 5 times a game. It's becoming a Philly thing.
Bro, when they got the ball down to the 1-yard line with like 2 seconds left on that, I knew they were kicking an extra point on that PI, AJ Brown. And oh my God, we're going to go up 17-14. That was the turning point in the game. We could have went into halftime down 14-13, and we went up 17-14, and the Rams didn't score again. That was it. But let's talk about Eagles-Jets. What do you guys think that ends up happening with this game? I have a very clear, conclusive opinion of it. Well, let's hear. I'll start with Shally, go to Cottrell, and I'll final it up.
Obviously, we've talked about this a couple other times. This game, beginning of the season, was kind of one that we circled. It's lost. Obviously, some of it's luster because Aaron Rodgers being down for the year with the Achilles. That being said, I think the 2 guys you just mentioned a second ago, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, are going to make Zach Wilson's life miserable on Sunday. I think they're going to be in the backfield a lot. I just don't see the Jets having any kind of sustained offense against that Eagles defense right now. I think the defense for the Jets will probably hold up for a while. I don't know if Sauce is going to shadow AJ or maybe even Devonta or go back and forth. I don't know what he's going to do. I just think it's too much Eagles. I think that Jets defense is going to be on the field too much. They're going to get worn down by the end of the game because I think the Jets offense is going to go 3 and out a lot. I think they're going to struggle to move the football with any kind of consistency against the Eagles. I like the Eagles. I like them kind of big. So I think the Eagles win handily on Sunday.
Well, Sauce for sure won't shadow. The Jets don't like to. They keep Sauce and DJ Reed on their perspective side. So I think that bodes well for the Eagles, especially getting AJ the ball, getting Devonta the ball. I think that'll be good for them. I will agree with you, Bill. I don't think that the Jets offense will have enough to withstand the Eagles attack. And I do think at some point, the way that the Eagles offense has really started to open up, and you've seen DeAndre Swift have a lot of success. I don't think he's necessarily going to have success earlier on in that game, but I do think they will have success in the year, and I think that's going to open it up. So I think the Eagles get up, pretty comfortably, maybe like early third quarter or so, they're up 10 to 14 points. And then I think that's when you see DeAndre Swift really start to open it up. And I got the Eagles taking care of business. I think Zach Wilson is starting to turn a corner. I think he's starting to get some confidence back. It took Aaron Rodgers coming to MetLife and seeing him firsthand. I'm sure they had some words and shared some words in the locker room. But I just don't see that Jets offense having enough. So I got the Eagles winning somewhere 31-14 or something along the lines of that.
I'd be really mad if the Philadelphia Eagles allowed the New York Jets to beat them because they can't stop. All right, so the Philadelphia Eagles, the way they lose the football game, right? I got to look at all these games and how the Eagles can lose the game, right? The way they lose the football game is if Jalen Hurts and the offense turn the ball over and allow the Jets to get points off of turnovers. That's how they lose the football game because they're number 1 in the NFL against the run. So they always can stop the run. And I don't think I'm worried about Breece Hall or Dalvin Cook or Michael Carter running wild on us. The way that the Jets have to beat the Eagles is throwing the football. And I don't think Zach Wilson does that particularly well. Now, he does it well at home. Last game he played versus Kansas City, kind of. I don't know. I think the Philadelphia Eagles win this game 27-13. I think it's a 2-score football game. Could be 24-13. I do think it's a little bit dicey around halftime, maybe 13-6, something around that, something around there. But I think the Eagles do open it up in the second half, and I think they end up winning the football game rather comfy. I think the first real test Philadelphia is going to see is the Miami Dolphins, which come in a couple weeks. The next game is the Cleveland Browns versus the San Francisco 49ers. I will go last here because I'm probably going to have to lead off pick them again because Shally's still in first place, and it is one of my picks.
I mean, I think this game is really really lost its luster. I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to ultimately end up playing in this game. And I think you're going to be looking at PJ Walker being the starting quarterback for the Browns this week. It's so weird because Deshaun has been medically cleared to play, but the Browns are being really quiet about his status and things like that. He hasn't really been practicing. I do think this is a game where, we could potentially catch the 49ers sleeping a little bit. I don't think the Browns win this game, but I think they can give them a good shot just because defensively what the Browns like to do, I think they have the potential to slow down that San Francisco 49ers offense. Like I said, I think with Deshaun not playing, I really think we have no shot here, but I do think it's a lower scoring game. I see the 49ers winning like 24-7.
Shall we?
I think this is probably, especially if Deshaun doesn't play, I think it's probably a game for maybe a quarter. I'll give the Cleveland Browns defense that their credit there because I mean they've been great all year. They've been the strength of the team. I don't think I'm saying anything out of whack there. If there's no Deshaun, there's no even threat of that. You're already down Nick Chubb. I mean, I don't know what that looks like for PJ Walker. I mean, that's going to be San Francisco just pinning their ears back and going. And I don't like that for the Cleveland Browns. CJ said San Fran by 1 million. I'm not going to go by 1 million, but I'll go by a lot. I like San Fran, rather big in this game. I think there's too much. I know they're coming off the big win, but I think this team is so dialed in right now. I think they'll have a good game plan against that defense. And like I said, I think the Browns defense will make plays in this game. I do. They might get a pick here and there or something like that. I don't think McCaffrey has one of those games where he goes for 150 or anything like that. I think they keep him in the game, but I think that defense is going to be on the field a lot, kind of very similar to the Jets. I don't think PJ Walker is going to be able to sustain any kind of steady offensive, pressure or long drives to get them breaks. I just think it's going to be a long day in Cleveland. I like San Francisco big.
Well, I had to regroup, so I didn't realize I just assumed Deshaun Watson was going to play Sunday because I heard he was cleared to play last time and then had a whole bye week.
Yep.
So I didn't know he was that soft. I mean,
his towels are.
Yeah, exactly. So he is kind of soft then. So apparently he doesn't care about the Browns season or all the guaranteed money that they gave him. So I'll take the 49ers. Right now, they're the best team in football. And I think the 49ers beat up on PJ Walker. He's going to have a lot of hugs. And I don't, there's no chance the Browns win that game if Deshaun Watson doesn't play. Browns defense is very good. Could be a low scoring game. But yeah, I'm going to move off that.
I will say, though, with Deshaun, because he has a shoulder injury. And the last time we had a quarterback in Cleveland with a shoulder injury, we ran Baker Mayfield out of town. So if it takes him a little bit longer to get back out there on the field, perfectly fine with that. I don't want this to linger too much. If it goes into next week and he's still not playing, then we got some issues on our hands. But yeah, I've seen how it can go when you throw the quarterbacks out there with the shoulder injuries too soon, and that's when guys get run out of town. So
it's a shame. I mean, I feel like if you could probably get some massage therapy, you could probably get back on the field faster. But we blew that out the water, didn't we?
I can't with you guys. Cottrell, I don't think that you'll ever trash one of your own players and then talk about how you ran him out of town when you were like the captain of the ship.
Oh, that's a fact.
Baker Mayfield out of town.
That's a fact.
And now you're sticking up for Deshaun Watson for sitting after he's been medically cleared to play football.
Yeah, I saw. If he doesn't feel
interesting predicament.
Just the doctor saying, "Hey, you're good to go play," and him saying that, "Hey, I don't feel good enough to go play."
Take my hoodie off.
Then, hey, who am I to say that he should be playing?
Oh God!
I think
Cleveland had a shoulder injury, ran him out of town.
Hey, look,
it is his throwing shoulder or his off shoulder?
It is. It's his throwing shoulder. And the other point that I was kind of getting at there is, if Baker, who knows how that season ends? If Baker sits for 3-4 weeks, gets back to feeling like himself, and then goes back to playing like the Baker that we saw in 2020. Like, I just don't want to go throw the season completely away off, especially against the damn 49ers who are going to be killing them this week.
Baker looks good in Tampa.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
For Cottrell.
Okay.
How badly does this season have to end before you'll admit that this was probably a mistake?
I don't think it's necessarily how badly that the season ends. I think it's how bad he looks. If you look at his last game that he played against Tennessee, he's coming off his best game as a Brown. So I think it would depend on how he looks and not necessarily how the team does. Because Nick Chubb getting hurt obviously changes the dynamic of the season. If he doesn't even look close to
that division, wide open, Cottrell.
It is. That it is.
The Cleveland Browns have an issue at running back. The Baltimore Ravens have an issue at wide receiver. They lead the league in drop passes again. All the passes they dropped in Pittsburgh. And Matt Canada, the best film of the whole week is them scoring the game-winning touchdown.
And he's upset.
He's
like, God damn it.
In the press box like mad.
I didn't call this play. God damn it, it actually worked. We scored 7 points on a play I didn't call.
That's a weird. That is. I don't know how long that situation continues before something blows up about that.
They keep winning, so they can't get rid of him.
Yes, they can.
Not during the season. Not during the season.
I would have fired him.
Me too. Me too. I would have fired him. I fired him 3 weeks ago.
If any coach in the league has carte blanche to do that, it's the one he coaches for. I promise you that. If Tomlin really wanted that to happen, he can make it happen.
The Steelers are 4-2 right now, leading the AFC North. Like, how can they fire him at this point? Like, you got to at least keep him throughout the season. At this point, you're being too successful. If they were 1-4 or 0-5 at this point, be a whole different ball game.
Some of that's the defense, though, man. I mean, TJ.
Oh, it's 100%, 100%. The defense is
playing out of his goddamn mind. I don't think it's anything, exciting that Matt Canada's calling up in the box.
He hasn't coached well enough to keep his job, but they're leading the AFC North, and so I just don't think you're going to have any changes on that coaching staff.
Oh, yuck. They shouldn't be. Watch that Baltimore game. Baltimore dropped that game. Looked like the butter falling out of their hand. Lamar Jackson is still not good. I'm sorry. It's another one that's super overrated.
So they lead the league in drops, and Lamar's not good?
They dropped three touchdown passes that everyone on this show would catch. All three of them.
Like what are we doing?
I'm just listen. I'm not saying Lamar doesn't have his things, and I'm somewhere in between the two of you on Lamar, but I'm not putting Sunday on Lamar Jackson. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not putting Sunday on him. I just think that the whole season, the offense, I was told about how great their offense was going to look this year with the new offensive coordinator, and I think it looks worse. I think the offense, they just spent a first-round draft pick on Zay Flowers. They gave Odell Beckham Jr. $18 million. They spent a first-round draft pick on Rashad Bateman, and they look worse.
But I mean, let's also, again, I know how you do this with Justin Herbert as well. Let's paint the whole picture here. Ronnie Stanley pretty much hasn't played all season. You say they signed Odell. He's been a ghost out there on the field. Bateman's been hurt. Zay Flowers has been in, and he looked good early. But he dropped a couple passes in this game against Pittsburgh as well. So, let's J.K. Dobbins.
See the one Nelson Aguilar drop? Am I the only one the Nelson Aguilar one was by far the worst drop?
No, it's like, I feel that.
That was so bad. All right, let's get into pick 'em. I'm glad I had a backup option because I was going to pick the Browns +7.
No, don't do that.
I won't now. I got backup options. I'm always ready. Get this off the screen. BS. Last week, I swear to God, I swear on anything, I had written down in my notes to take the Jets +2.5, and I got on the show and I took the under. And the whole day, I'm like, I'm 2-1 this week. The whole day, I'm like, it's another good week. I'm above 500, and I took the under in the game instead of the Jets. Oh, what an idiot!
All right, Gino.
I got to go first again. I hate this.
Lead it off.
It's all right. When I start passing you guys in college football, you guys are going to be like, oh, shit. All right, so I got all plus money this week. I got all dogs that are going to win outright. Give me dogs. I'll start off with this one. Guys, who's the worst quarterback in the NFL?
Dak
Desmond
Prescott.
Ritter.
Desmond Ritter. Give me the Commanders plus 2.5 coming off a terrible showing on Thursday Night Football at the Atlanta Falcons. I think Sam Howell and that offense gets rolling. I think that a great defensive line is the worst thing ever for a quarterback like Desmond Ritter, who tries to scramble. He's going to get put on his butt. I don't think he makes it through the football game. I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but I think that defensive line is mean, ruthless, and I think they get the job done. I got Washington plus 2.5 at Atlanta. Second game on the docket. Another team coming off a loss that probably should have won the football game. Give me the Houston Texans plus 1.5 over the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans went up to New England and smacked the Patriots. This is a classic letdown game. They got to go travel to Houston to play out the Texans this week. I'll take the Texans plus 1.5. Give me D'Amico and the boys. And for number 3, I swore I would never pick this team again, ever. And then I did, and they won. Give me the Bears plus 2.5 over the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Minnesota Vikings are ready to wave the white flag. I wouldn't be surprised if Kirk Cousins was traded to the Jets soon to try to salvage that season. Why not put your cards in the center? You're not going to have Kirk Cousins there next year. You're going to draft a quarterback, full rebuild mode. No Justin Jefferson. Give me the Bears. I think the Bears win the game, and I think they win it by 10 points or more. I'll take the Bears plus 2.5 over the Minnesota Vikings.
Very funny that those are the last 2 games that you covered, Gene, because those 2 games are also on my slate as well. For this one, I also have the Bears plus 2.5 against the Minnesota Vikings. They're ripe for the picking. Jetta's just went on IR. Kirk Cousins, he's played well so far this season, but you got to be thinking that he wants to get out of there at this point. He's on the last year of his deal, and they haven't come to terms on an extension yet. So I'd assume that Minnesota wants to move on as well. So I think the Bears have finally actually found an identity on offense. Justin Fields has finally established DJ Moore as a true number 1 receiver on that team. And so I think the Bears keep it rolling, and they take care of business against Minnesota. Second game that I have, I'm on the other side of this one with you, Gene. I like the Saints minus 1.5 at the Texans. You talk about, it being a classic letdown game. I think for that Saints team, it really just kind of showed them exactly, who they can be. I think that defense is playing phenomenal right now, and them getting a chance to get after CJ Stroud, I think they're going to force his first interception of the season in this game, and I like the Saints to win that football game. Last game, love this play here. I like the under 41.5 New England at Las Vegas. I don't know how this game would get over 41.5 points, to be honest. The Patriots offense absolutely stinks. And I think the Patriots actually have a pretty decent defense, especially if they get to go after Jimmy Garoppolo and company pretty much all game. So under 41.5 there seems like a lock. And I know anytime you say a lock, that doesn't happen, but I love that as being my best play of the week.
Okay.
We haven't had any Gene lead pipe locks this year.
We've had one.
Really?
Yeah, we have one.
Cowboys, Patriots.
Cowboys, Patriots.
All right. Well, my 3 games are games we already talked about for obvious reasons. I'm going San Fran minus 6.5 at Cleveland. Get it now, because I think once it becomes official that Deshaun's not going to play, it's going to move. I like San Francisco on the road. I guess you could say some kind of letdown off Dallas, maybe. I don't see that happening. That team is just so dialed in right now, and everything they do is crisp. Everything it's just they're the best team in football right now. I just don't think they go to Cleveland. I don't think this is where they stumble. I really don't. Not against the backup quarterback, where they're going to be able to wreak havoc and let the defense really eat all day. So I like San Francisco big in Cleveland. Second game, same game you guys already picked. I love Chicago at home plus 2.5. I agree with Gene. I think they win the game outright. Kirk Cousins, pretty much man alone on the island. I think you're starting to see the Cam Akers thing become the starter. That's just a weird journey. It's a different discussion for a different day. No Jettas, I think, kills them, though. I think Justin Fields has looked like a completely different player the last 2 weeks. I don't know what light bulb went off on his head or what discussions they've had or what the game planning has changed, but he looks like the Justin Fields we all thought he was going to be. He's had 2 huge weeks in a row. He goes home, division rival, ripe for the picking, missing their best player. I like Chicago plus 2.5 at home. Last game we already talked about as well. Eagles -7 on the road. I don't think Zach Wilson can keep pace with Jalen Hurts. I think the Eagles have looked consistently better the last 3 weeks on offense. They're all starting to get on the same page. Brian Johnson has his guys dialed in now. I think DeAndre Swift's going to be able to run the ball. I think Hurts has a big day as well. I like the Eagles, big up in New York, -7. Those are my 3 for this week.
Okay, we got to pick them. Let's get into college football. And by the way, before we get into college football, let's talk about the hottest college football show on the market. Coast to Coast is on Saturday morning. Make sure you tune in them for all in-depth knowledge in college football. We're going to breeze it over. They go full in-depth in a lot of these conversations. But Cottrell, as always, introduce our games this week.
All right, so I think the first one should be Miami versus North Carolina.
That is so first of all, let me just be clear before we talk about Miami versus North Carolina. And I know you're going to talk about later, and I don't want to get too far in it, but that is the biggest dumbass move I've ever seen in my life, from an undefeated team in college football to losing to a team that you were supposed to beat by a ton to begin with. To blow it the way they blew it is one of the funniest things. You have people on their sidelines. There's cameras on them. Like, what the F are we doing? That is not a good place to be right now. I like North Carolina to win the football game. I like them to cover the 3.5. I'm not betting it. It's not one of my plays this week. But I will say this. North Carolina's beat everybody by 10 points or more. They look great. I love the way they look. They were one of my picks last week, -8.5. They won by 30. I like North Carolina this one. They're one of the best teams that no one's talking about right now. I think North Carolina beats Miami. Only 3.5 points. I love North Carolina.
I'm going to agree with Gene on this one. And, I don't know if I've ever felt more sympathy and compassion for a college athlete ever in my life than watching that kid sit on the bench and just say, what the F are we doing twice after playing that game? It was surreal. It was surreal to watch. I don't know what else to say. I agree with Gene, though. I can't imagine the mindset in that Miami locker room this week. I think this goes either one of two ways. I think they come out, they rally around each other, and kind of give off the whole, screw coach vibe, or I think they could completely melt. And I don't know which one it's going to be. I'm not picking it for that reason. I think Drake May at home, Gene brought up the one fun fact, they've beaten everybody by 10 points. I could easily see it happening this week again. They're at home. He has Walker now, I think, who will continue to be in the game plan more and more and get more targets. I like North Carolina to win. I don't know if it's a 10-point game. I don't know if it's a 3-point game. I don't know if they win by 24, because I think they're all possible. I have no idea what Miami Hurricane team is going to take the field Saturday night. I really don't. But regardless, I like North Carolina to win.
And I am going to complete the trifecta here. I got North Carolina as well. Bill, you mentioned a great point. Tez Walker being back, it seemed like Drake May and him already have that connection. He had 6 catches in his first game back. And I fully think that North Carolina got this Miami team at the perfect time. I think this has the potential to be a different ball game if Miami needs the ball last week and they're coming into this matchup undefeated as well. But you both have kind of mentioned already, I think this Miami team at this point, how can they trust that coaching staff? Essentially everything that was in front of them has been taken away. And, Miami has had some great recruiting classes, and they have taken advantage of the transfer portal as well. But I would say no one was expecting them to go out there and potentially win the ACC this year. And that's still on the table. If they beat this North Carolina team and then they take care of business the rest of the way, probably going to match up against Florida State or Duke down the line. But at this point, though, how can you fathom and get over that loss that quickly? So I think they're going up against a bad matchup. Drake May and company with North Carolina is clicking on all cylinders, and I think they take care of business at home.
What's the next game?
Next game we got UCLA traveling over to Oregon State, taking on the Beavers.
I think this is one of my – well, no, it's not. We're good. I think this is we'll talk about it, obviously, in depth, but I think this is a very ugly football game. UCLA is not your typical Chip Kelly team. They're a defense-first team. Their offense is not that great. They got me a cover this past week, which was great, but their offense isn't great. Their defense is great. Washington State, you know what my thoughts are. I think DJU is decent. I don't think he's great, but I think that not Washington State, sorry. Oregon State. I think DJU is good. I don't think he's great. I think that UCLA defense will hold them down a little bit. I honestly believe that this is one of those games that's going to look really ugly. I like Oregon State to win the football game. I just don't think they'll win it by much. I do have a play on this game. I think you can guess on what it is, but I think it's going to be a low score and ugly football game. I'll take Oregon State in a tight one.
I like Oregon State as well. I think they win by maybe a touchdown, 6-7 points, somewhere in there. I think they would cover. I think UCLA, to Gene's credit, this is not your kind of, DRT team from last year, kind of, spread offense, run and gun type thing. It's not how they're playing this year. Biggest reason why is, I think it was week 2, or week 3, they officially named Dante Moore as their starting quarterback. He's a true freshman. Kid's got a ceiling, a ceiling that's way up there. But if you look at his splits home and away, they're night and day. He plays great at home into a hostile environment. It's tough for a kid. He's an 18-year-old kid. I think DJ has played well enough to get my confidence here with that running game at home in that stadium. I like Oregon State to squeak one out. I think it's going to be a good game. Like Gene said, I don't think it's as low scoring as Gene thinks it is, but I don't think this is a game that's going to be in the 30s. I do agree with him that. I think it's lower scoring than where Vegas has the line. But I like Oregon. I just think they're the better football team. I think the better football team, and when push comes to shove, DJ's going to run the offense the way he wants to with a full playbook. UCLA is just not quite there yet with Dante. So I'm gonna go Oregon State.
One thing I do want to kind of push back on is that I don't think Dante Moore is necessarily bad away from home. Talk about his splits. Like, yes, I get it, but it's kind of, I don't want to say skewed, but one game was against Utah, who we know how Utah plays at home. Dante Moore has played well at home and on the road in other games so far this season outside of that Utah game. And I do think Dante Moore will be able to lead that UCLA team and take care of business. The one thing that I think UCLA has going for them, though, is that, Gene, you mentioned it. Their defense is a strength of that team. And I think they're going to be able to get DJ to turn the ball over. And I think, I'm actually on the other side. I think this is going to be somewhat of a higher scoring game. I think you may see DJ with like 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, that kind of ball game. But I think Dante Moore is going to steal the show. I think he's going to take care of business. I think UCLA is going to get the win in a higher scoring game. But I think it could be ugly with turnovers, but I do think it's ultimately going to be a higher scoring game, though.
I mean, we'll see. I think UCLA's defense is just really good. And I look at the game they played versus Utah. It was 14-7. Look at the game they played last week. It was a very low-scoring game also. I think their defense is really good. I don't think DJU's that good. I think he's good versus bad defenses. And if we're being completely honest with ourselves, UCLA isn't a bad defense. So I don't think this game's high-scoring at all. But we'll see. I guess one of us will be right. One of us will be wrong. Are we ready for the Trojans Notre Dame?
Yeah, we got the co-main event here. We got USC and Notre Dame traveling to South Bend.
Okay, we'll continue the same order. I'm going to go with the Trojans in this one. Notre Dame just got the crap kicked out of them by Louisville last week. It's their second loss. I like USC in this football game. I think it'll be rather close. Notre Dame's defense will actually be one of the few teams that can make USC punt once in a while. But I got to be honest with you, man. That Notre Dame offense leaves more to be desired. I thought they would be a lot better than what they are. They aren't that great, which really kind of leads me to believe that Ohio State isn't that good. I get it. Styles make fights, and we'll see what ends up happening. But I'll take USC in this one in a little bit lower scoring game than what the total tells you. I got a 31-23 USC.
I'm not going to go too in-depth on this because I'm picking this, but I think it's going to be a very good game. I think Gene said it best. I think styles make fights. I think that favors one of these teams more than it does the other. I'll leave it at that until I get into pick them. But think it's going to be a very interesting Saturday in South Bend.
And for me, I think that USC has really been begging to lose the last 2 weeks. I think they're going to finally go up against a team that's going to give it to them. I don't think this will be, I don't expect Notre Dame to go out there and just score 45 points or anything like that. But USC has shown you that they give up points to pretty much anybody. And so even with Notre Dame's offense struggling as they have been, I think against USC they can put up points. I also believe that the way Notre Dame's defense looks, they're going to have an opportunity to, force Caleb off the field and potentially get some punts and have field position be a big thing in this one. So I expect it to be a really good game as well. I think it's going to come down to Notre Dame having the ball, and I think it's going to really come down to USC forcing the stop to get the ball back and put the ball in Caleb's hands. But I don't think they're going to be able to stop Estime, and I don't think they're going to be able to stop Hartman. So I got Notre Dame winning one possession, really close game, and I just don't see Caleb Williams getting the ball back to lead USC on that magical drive.
All right, let's talk about the main event. I'm ready for the main event. I'm ready
Main
for
event.
the details because I'll tell you right now, I have this game picked. It is one of my picks, but I'm going to give it away right now. I'm going to let you guys know.
So you got the Oregon Ducks, the undefeated Oregon Ducks, led by Bo Nix, traveling up to Washington and also going up against the undefeated Washington Huskies, led by Michael Penix Jr., who a lot of people are is the Heisman favorite right now.
Sure, I'm sure Alex is watching this right now to see where this is going to go.
You guys know where I'm going with this one. I picked them to be in the Pac-12 final before the season started, and I'm going to be right about it. I got Washington beaten. I have Washington beating Oregon, and Bo Nix on the road is not the same as Bo Nix at home. I've said this time and time again. I think that both offenses are going to be humming. Washington's offense is a lot more big play. They're a lot more down the field, where Bo Nix will try to nickel and dime you, try to draw that defense in before they hit you with the big play. I like Washington to make more big plays offensively and defensively. Give me Washington. You can find it at 2.5 a lot of places. It's 2.5 and 3. I have it at 2.5. I've already locked it in. I like Washington to win this football game. I think they win it by 10. 41-31 Washington.
I'm not picking this, but I'm on the other side of this. I think as great as Michael Penix Jr. has been, I like Oregon's defense a lot more than I like Washington's. The more I dug into this week, everything Gene said was 100% correct. I'm not going to go against any of that. My problem with it is I think Oregon has the better chance of controlling the football, slowing the game down, prolonged drives, keeping Washington's offense off the field. I think game flow is going to dictate a lot of what happens here. If Bo Nix has to come out and try to play like Michael Penix Jr., I don't know how well I think Oregon fares on the road there, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're able to run the ball against Washington's defense. They haven't been great against the run. I think that opens up the passing game over the middle and deeper for Bo Nix later in the game when they're going to take shots. I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to have a great game, even though I'm picking Washington to lose. I like Oregon. I just think they're a better overall football team. You take the flashy highlights out of it, and as great as Michael Penix Jr. has been, and he should be number one on everybody's Heisman board because he's been that good. I don't think he has a bad game Saturday night by any means. I just like Oregon. I just think Oregon is more well-rounded, has more ways to win the football game. I don't want to have to rely on a big play, and I feel like if they get in deep water, they might have to do that. And I'll hedge my bet against that. So I'm going to take the Oregon Ducks 38, Washington Huskies 33.
Well, I will make no bones about it. I'm going to go with the team that I think has the better players in this one. I think, and that's for me right now, Washington Huskies. I'm going with Michael Penix Jr., taking care of business. Rome has looked absolutely incredible as advertised, one of the best receivers in the country, and they have that connection already. Gene, you mentioned it as well. I don't know if Bo Nix, the same Bo Nix that you saw hang 42 on Colorado, is going to be the same Bo Nix that goes up to Washington. Do I think Oregon is going to show up? Absolutely. Do I think Bo Nix is going to turn the ball over? Absolutely. I think, you're going to see one, maybe even two interceptions from that Oregon passing attack. And I think that's going to make that Oregon team kind of uncomfortable. They had a little bit of a scare earlier on this year against Texas Tech, but outside of that, their team's really been clicking on all cylinders. So I think this is the first game that they slip up. I ultimately don't think it hinders them too much. I had Oregon in the Pac-12 championship before the season started. I still think they're going to get there, but it's hard to go undefeated. I said it last week with Oklahoma and Texas, and I'm going to say it again this week. Hard to go undefeated. So I got Washington taking care of business here, and I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to continue on in that Heisman campaign.
It's interesting how we look at this game. I don't think either defense is equipped to stop the other. So I don't, if you want to split hairs and say that Oregon's got the better defense than Washington,
they do.
I don't want to argue that, but I don't think either defense is equipped to stop the other. I think what's going to happen is the offense is going to have to stop itself, and I think that you got a better chance of Bo Nix doing that than Michael Penix Jr. in my personal opinion. And
I do think that Oregon has the better defense. I just think at a point, though, Oregon's going to be chasing, and that's when you get into the territory of Bo Nix throwing some bad turnovers or potentially fumbling the ball, something like that. I just think Bo Nix is going to have to be Superman to kind of catch up to what that Washington offense is going to be, because I guarantee you, they're going to be absolutely nuts in Spokane. Game day is going to be there. It's going to be insane.
Let's get into college football pick'em, gentlemen. Look at that. Look at that. I'm going to go Superdog record. I feel like my record, I guess Superdog doesn't count when I get it right? So it's just the 2-1 is my regular record, and then the Superdog picks that I keep getting right, they don't matter.
What do you mean?
They matter for the Superdog record. They don't count towards my regular record when I get a win.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So
yeah, that's why we keep them separately.
It's fair. Which one are we keeping track of? Is who wins, the regular one or the Superdog record?
Gotta for sure keep track of both. Who wins?
Okay. Well, I get so 11-7 looks like the best record. So I guess Control goes first. Okay. Yeah. So Control, what's the order?
I kind of like going first on these, so I'll go first here. Gene, you're picking up some steam. I'll let you go last here. Bill, we'll sandwich him in the middle this time. How's that sound?
That sounds better to
me. So
no one likes to be in a middle fight. I don't want to be in a middle fight. I want to be the first fight, start the show, or I want to be the last fight. I don't want to be in the middle fight.
You want to open it up or be the main event?
Yeah, everyone, they say that about everything. WWE fights, UFC fights. The second fight's the worst fight.
All right, so I'll get my picks here, and I'm letting you guys know I'm double dipping a little bit. You'll see exactly what I mean here. But first pick, I like Pitt plus 7.5 at home versus Louisville. I think Louisville's coming off of a very emotional win from last week, and I think you're going to see a bit of a letdown, from them. I think they're going to take care of business, but I think Pitt is going to give them everything that they can handle. I can see this game turning into one of those walk-off field goal kind of situations. So I like Pitt covering that 7.5 at home versus Louisville. Second game, I'm going to the Sun Belt here for this one. Give me James Madison minus 5.5 at home versus Georgia Southern. James Madison is probably one of the hottest teams that nobody's talking about right now. They're 5-0. They would really be in contention for a New Year's 6 bid at this pace, given their record and them just being in the non-Power 5 schools. But because they are so fresh up to FBS, they're still technically ineligible to even get a bowl bid this year, which is absolutely stupid. The NCAA absolutely needs to change that. If I go up in competition and I win football games, how are you going to say I'm not eligible for eligible for bowl games? Just doesn't make sense there. But anywho, James Madison, they're fighting for just bragging rights at this point, and I think they're going to take care of business at home against that Georgia Southern team. So love them big at home there. Last game, I like the under 55 UMass at Penn State. I think this is a situation where Penn State's going to get a lot of their guys, on the field. I think they're going to dominate that entire football game, but you're going to see their starters be off the field because they got a big game next week. And so I think James Franklin's going to make sure they can score as many points as possible, have those starters rest as much as they can in that second half, And I think that's going to end up being a lower scoring football game. I think you're going to see Penn State winning that game like 41-0, 38-0, and 30 of those points may come in that first half. So I like the under 55 there. And just, again, piggybacking off that pick, my super dog, I got UMass plus 41.5. I just think they're going to get me some super dog points there. James Franklin's going to call off the dogs, make sure they escape that game as healthy as possible so that everybody can be ready to go for the undefeated matchup next week against Ohio State. So those are my picks for the week.
Your best case scenario is it's like 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. Like because at that point, the third quarter, at that point, they'll be up like 28, 31-0, something like that. And then they'll just take everybody out. You get out like early, like bombarded early. It's not good for you. We'll see what happens.
I'm saying 31-0 at halftime. James Franklin calls off all the dogs. UMass still has their starters in, and then you just get one of those just ugly 14-3 halves, that garbage.
We actually have something at the end that I'm going to bring up, Nick, but you don't want us to talk. Listen,
Logan Paul.
We can't talk about Yusuf versus Barbosa. That's not like what we do here.
Logan Paul. Dylan Dennis. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Is that this weekend?
I think so.
Man, I don't care.
No, I do have a UFC topic I wanted to bring up kind of near the end, like when we're done college football, just for a minute.
Then we have UFC next week.
We do.
Logan Paul match, bro. We don't care.
No one cares.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
KSI. I don't. Dude, you follow up with that the Prime Energy group. I'm good. All right, Charlie, let's get your picks, brother.
All right. First game. I'm going Colorado minus 10.5 at home against Stanford. Stanford's been terrible all year. Colorado's shown how great they play at home. Sounding like Hunter's going to play. I think they're going to get him back. I think that's going to be a morale boost. Coming off their big win at Arizona State on the road, I like Colorado at home to roll over Stanford, minus 10.5. Second game. I said I was going to pick this. I'm going to pick it now. I got Notre Dame plus 2.5 at home against USC. I think Cottrell hit everything on the head when he talked about it. I think USC's begging to be beat. And I think if they go in there with that defense off a Notre Dame team that is pretty much, playing for pride at this point, it's going to be home. It's going to be at night at South Bend. I think they're going to play well. I think they're going to play for each other. I think against that defense, Sam Hartman and company get back on track. I think Estime has a huge game. USC is still not proven to me or anybody that they can stop anybody at any given time. I think Caleb will do Caleb things. I really do. I think he'll still have a great game against that Notre Dame defense. And in the end all be, although I think that defense fails them. I like Notre Dame to win. I'll take the 2.5. I think Notre Dame wins the game outright, though. I think it's the shocker of the weekend. Last game, I think Kentucky, after getting thrashed in Georgia, I think they go home against a Missouri team that got ranked and got smoked. Kentucky's still got an inside track to a really good bowl game. They only have one loss if they can run the table. They're at home. I think Ray Davis and company get back on track. Only minus 2.5. I don't think Missouri's that good, especially on the road. I think Kentucky's going to pound the rock. They're going to run the ball and run Ray Davis in the ground again. I like Kentucky there at home, minus 2.5. For my super dog, I got Syracuse plus 17.5 at Florida State. I think Florida State wins the game. I think Florida State, they go through these spurts where they look like a really bad football team. I think Syracuse is actually playing pretty decent football this year. I think their defense, can keep them in this game. I don't think they have any chance to win the football game, especially in Tallahassee. But I think they have a good enough defense, a good enough offense to put points on the board and at least stay close to Florida State and snag me some super dog points at the end.
All righty. I have 3 for you, plus a super dog. We'll start with this one. I already alluded to this earlier. I have Washington minus 2.5 over Oregon. I think Washington wins the football game. College game day is there. I think they beat Oregon, and I think they beat them by 10. So give me Washington Huskies minus 2.5 over Oregon. Second on the docket, give me the under 53.5 in Oregon State versus UCLA. I like the under in that football game. I think that this game will end up being a lot more low scoring than people give it credit for. I think UCLA's defense is good. I don't think DJU is that good. So I'll take the under 53.5. I like Utah minus 11.5 versus Cal. I think Cal is terrible. I think Utah's at home. I think Utah gets together, and I think they blow out Cal. And then for my super dog, hell might freeze over. You might not know where I'm going yet either. I have made this team my whipping boy for so many years on this show.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to take them plus 31.5 because there's no reason that Georgia should be favored by 31.5 over anyone on the road right now. They have not played good offense on the road at all. Give me Vanderbilt plus 31.5 over Georgia. I'll take Vandy to cover the 31.5 and pick me up some super dog points.
I will say Georgia just beat the snot out of Kentucky.
Where was that game?
Athens, Georgia.
I'm telling, bro, Georgia's looked terrible on the road.
They have. I know it's your thing with Vandy, but I don't care where Vandy's playing. Vandy could be playing on the schoolyard. They could be playing in my backyard. They could be playing anywhere. I'm not picking Vandy anywhere, but
they have 2 wins already this year. I'm proud of them. Fighting Commandeers.
They did end the year strong last year. I will give them that.
So what I want to bring up, a couple of things. Nick brings this up, and I wanted to get your opinion on it. You guys talked about it in chat. The USDA McGregor thing, nonsense. He wants more info about it. Charlie, you posted it. If you don't mind shedding some light on it and what it means, that'd be great.
So today, Conor McGregor posted a tweet. Basically, it was a screenshot of him saying that he's been successfully re-entered into the USADA pool. For those of you who don't know, USADA is the anti-doping agency. So they test all these athletes, make sure they're not using steroids or any illegal substances before their fights. Now, with McGregor being out of the pool for as long as he was, normally he'd have to wait 6 months with 2 negative tests in between these 6 months before he'd be able to fight again. But what Nicholas is kind of, hinting at here is that USADA essentially came out a few hours ago and said that, yes, it is true that McGregor is in the pool again, but come December 31st of this year, USADA is no longer going to be partnered with the UFC. So they don't know if it's actually going to take 6 months and if the UFC is actually going to honor that 6-month code of, clean test and just being in the pool for 6 months, because that partnership is going to end come December 31st. And so that's really where all the chaos is right now. USADA has basically said that, they had such a great relationship with the UFC and things like that throughout the years, but the end of the deal essentially is coming up here rather abrupt. And there's a lot of missing pieces to the puzzle about what's really going on here between USADA and the UFC. What my take on it is, I think Dana White is looking to get Conor McGregor in and fighting as quick as possible. I don't think the guy wants to wait 6 months for Conor McGregor to be healthy. And if you've seen Conor McGregor in any pictures, before and after his surgery with his injury, the kid was using steroids. So I think you got a lot of issues, and a lot of fighters are going to be upset about this. And ultimately, it's going to be whatever Dana White decides, because he runs the entire organization. But I think that's why this relationship has been severed so fast and abrupt. And, that's why USADA basically came out and said, we don't know what they're going to do, but just know that we're no longer dealing with them after the end of this year.
Well, the other thing I wanted to bring up, and we're going to talk about it more next week because it's going to be a very prevalent card, and it has likes to be one of the best cards of the year. So I have 2 questions that I want to ask. Number 1, is this the best card of the year with, Kamaru Usman stepping in for Paulo Costa, who backed out due to his surgery that he had 6 weeks ago. And he's not medically cleared. He says that he'll fight him anywhere, but he's not allowed to fight. Okay, whatever.
Knew that was coming. Said
Yeah.
that when the card got signed.
You did. You nailed it. But also, Islam's out. Not Islam. Charles Oliveira's out, and you have Volkanovski stepping in. So the first question is this the best main event and co-main event of the year?
So far, in my opinion, yes. I think it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Obviously, I think it would be a little bit different if everyone was going into this with a full camp. Like, I think for me, that'd be no doubt about it. But I also kind of like the excitement of not knowing, how the fights will look. Hamzat's prepared for Paulo Costa, this entire time, where I would imagine that he was expecting to fully just dominate him in wrestling. And with Kamaru Usman, I still think, Hamzat has that ability to dominate as well. But seeing him go up to 185 and, just knowing how Kamaru is and how good he is with takedown defense, that's a matchup that's going to be fun to watch. And then on the other side of it going up, we saw Volk go up against Islam the first time, and a lot of people had Volk winning it. So I think this is a great second fight for them to watch. The one thing that I am kind of curious about, though, Volk has said after his last fight that he wanted to take some time off and rehab, some injuries and things like that. And then he steps in on 11 days notice, like, all right, I'm ready to get my shot back at the belt. Volk is, I'm not going to lie. If anybody should hold the BMF belt, it definitely should be Volk, because that's just who he is. Got to give him all the credit in the world here. And we'll talk more about the actual fight next week. But I love it. I love it from both of these guys. Two guys who are displaying the heart of a champion, taking these fights on, short notice, 11 days notice, and they're going in with two absolute killers in Islam and Hamzat.
Yeah, we won't talk about breaking down the fight yet. I have two more questions for you guys. Charlie, do you think this is the card of the year? At least the headliner of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a better main and co-main. I think the only thing that worries me, two guys taking, really, really elite fighters, on short notice can lead to disaster sometimes. We've seen situations where guys have taken fights on short notice and, they do great, and other times, they kind of fail to live up to expectations. But, I think Usman's a guy that probably always keeps himself in shape, and obviously going up, I mean, I don't think it hurts him. I don't really worry about his cardio. And then Volk, I mean, Volk is a gym monster. You read anything about him, the dude fights, and 2 days later he's back in the gym, in full prep mode. So I'm excited. I mean, I think both fights have the potential for fireworks. I think both fights could end up being great. And, there's definitely, with fighters backing out, with Dana being able to pull those two names in to fill it, really kind of saves the pay-per-view. And there's a ton of excitement now. I think I talked to a couple people today that thought they were more excited about the matchups now than they were before. So
when they're fighting, though, this is the second question I have is UFC doing a complete disservice to their main fan base, which is in America, by having this card go off at 2 p.m.?
It's tough because you're just competing, straight up against college football. I think the 2 p.m. So, I mean, they're going to go on around 5.
Yep.
That probably doesn't kill you because the card's going to be over before all the big primetime games. So,
isn't Washington, Oregon 3:30?
No, but that's this week. The 294 is next week.
So, I don't think it is
3:30.
Yeah. So it's. I mean,
It's
you got to do
not
what you got to do.
I just I don't know, man. I don't think I'm going to be able to order the card. I got work. I work Saturday until 6.
I mean, you got to realize what they're making at the gate and expanding the sport and the viewership. It's a lot more than what they're worried about, pay-per-view buys per se back here. And I think with the big names, I think it's still going to do fine.
I wouldn't say a true disservice too, because again, with just the names that are on the card, a lot of those guys aren't even Americans. So you get to see Islam and obviously Volk was the new guy, but Hamzat, them fighting over in Abu Dhabi, I have no problem with it. If anything, I kind of like the mid Saturday cards, because then prime time comes and I can watch my college football and go to sleep at a somewhat reasonable hour.
All right, so per UFC's website, there's odds on both fights. and I'm hoping neither one of you guys seen them yet. Can't go by ESPN's. It's different than UFC's website. Don't look them up. I want you two to guess, and then we'll get. You got to be kidding me. What the odds are on each fight is. So we'll start with Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev.
I think they got Kamaru is minus 120.
You have Kamaru minus 120?
Yep.
Ali?
I think Kamaru's plus money.
It's the UFC, though. They love Kamaru.
Las Vegas got the lines, but I'm just.
Yeah.
Oh, you said it was on the UFC website, not like
on UFC's website, but it's Vegas lines.
They
okay.
They pull off.
Okay.
Vegas. I'll say Kamaru's plus 220.
Kamaru's plus 285. Khamzat's a minus 360 in the fight. Let's move on to Islam versus Alexander Volkanovski.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Islam's like minus 105. I think this is a true pick 'em.
I'll say Islam is. I'm gonna give him a little bit more than that. I'll go minus 165.
Islam is a minus 340.
Oh,
God damn.
shit.
Volk is plus 270 on their site. Now, I think this has changed because this was just put up to like today. But if you go on ESPN and look at the odds, because you know they have the odds, they're going to basically be a bookie soon. They have Islam is a minus 215 and Volk is a plus 185,
which I think makes a lot more sense.
Agreed.
That's a huge discrepancy, though.
It is.
I'm not gonna lie. If I get Volk, even if I thought Islam would win the fight, if I got Volk at that kind of, those kinds of odds, like you have to just bet Volk.
Yeah, mine's 230 plus 190 is on the ESPN site. They don't have anything for Khamzat and Kamaru Usman. I think we'll talk about the fights more next week, but I think that both of those odds, dude, the Arizona Diamondbacks are absolutely bombing the ball. I have the TV on the right side. Kettle Marte hit a ball that went to another planet. It 4 solo home runs this inning. It's 4-0 Arizona. Sorry, just needed to get into that. Control, you have the best. You got to be kidding me this week. Sorry to anybody else, but there's nothing better.
All right, so I would love to talk about it, but let's just see what happened.
Miami is doing.
That's it. Here's Cheney, just straight ahead, tackled, and the ball popped out.
You got to read the clock. I mean, read the card. I mean, to me,
Georgia Tech has it with 26 seconds left. 3 to the field for King. Up in the pocket, gonna loop it down the field, and it is caught. And that's Rutherford. Here's King from the pocket, flush to his right with 6, 5. Gonna loop it downfield, and ball is caught. Touchdown, Georgia Tech. With 1 second to go in the ball game, Christian Leary.
All you have to do is have your quarterback under center, take the ball from the center, and put his knee on the ground, and you are an undefeated football team headed to North Carolina for one of the best matchups of the week. You have the ACC literally at your fingertips. You go to North Carolina this week, you beat them. You're not a lock for the ACC championship game, but you're damn near close. Mario Cristobal says he wanted to run the ball because he wanted to leave the game on a good note. He wanted to finish the game the right way. Absolutely insane for him to do. I don't know how you don't look at the clock. And to be honest, if I'm the quarterback, I don't know how he's not looking at the clock like, hey, we're not doing that. We're sitting on the ball. We're audibling it. I'll take the heat later. I'm not handing this ball off here. We're going home with the win because we've earned it. And not only that, the defense goes, the fumble happens. Defense is probably like, shit, I thought I had my spat halfway off. I thought I was going to take my socks off, be ready to go. Defense comes out. They give up two huge plays. Obviously, the last one ended up being the touchdown. I don't know how you aren't in prevent on defense there either. There's about 6 seconds left on the clock, and you let them go over the top on a deep over. Makes absolutely no sense there. Mario Cristobal for the offense, for the defense, for everything in between. This week for me,
That is the greatest you got to be kidding me of the year. And Arizona just hit another nuke. 5-0. It is 5 solo home runs in the third inning, and they are nuking these balls. It looks like they're hitting them at a golf range. It looks like they're hitting it at a golf range.
And the Astros did win 3-2, so that's over.
This is so absurd. Because I have the TV right here, and these guys are hitting balls like they're at a friggin' batting cage. Oh my God. And he goes, because I'm delayed, right? He goes, watch this shot. And I turned my head to watch it, and it's a nuke. The Kettle Marte one was insanity. But Shally, what do you got?
I don't really have like a crazy one or even like a serious one. This happened, I believe yesterday. I will say this. If you're not the best in-game coach in the world, I don't know why you would poke a bear to some degree when you're not even playing them this week. James Franklin made some comments kind of offhanded about Michigan's schedule, but didn't have the balls to say Michigan, which was also kind of hilarious when they have UMass this week, who just got to Division I, and they played Delaware a couple weeks ago, who's still in the FCS. I'm not standing up for Michigan's schedule, but let's not act like Penn State's is, leaps and bounds better. I don't understand why you just put bulletin board material up for what's going to be probably the game that decides your season, depending on what happens in Columbus next weekend. So it's okay now. I mean, James Franklin couldn't coach himself out of a paper bag if his life depended on it. And now you're going to get Michigan's best shot. And I promise you, Harbaugh does have that little bit of a petty streak in him. If they get up big, they will pound your asses into the ground now. And I hope they do. So James Franklin, for starting crap that just I don't understand. It came out of nowhere. It made no sense. Oh, well. We'll see you in a couple weeks, buddy.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Mine's really simple. It's Ozzy Albies for running his mouth to Bryce Harper. Attaboy Bryce. Well, attaboy Bryce just hit 2 home runs off of you, and the Phillies are up 2-1 going against Spencer Strider tomorrow night. That's my you got to be kidding me this week.
Sweet.
All right, so we got to wrap up. We literally have to wrap up, but I have to give a final thought. Tiny, you are awesome. Yes. Happy birthday. We love you. We have to be off the air in like less than 10 seconds. Anybody else have a final comment?
Happy birthday, Tiny. We love you.
Happy birthday as well, of course. Already told her, already talked to her, but wish to you again.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. We are now on Roku TV, so that's why we're on a strict time limit. So for a little bit quicker this week, that's why. But thank you for tuning in, and we are signing out.